And we love Great Expectations, Realty and Auctions. Shout out to Jenna and the team, always doing some great things. Hey, did you hear that you can dress Pip up now?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you actually came up with this idea and they're running with it. So nonprofits or organizations out there, you can have a month in which you can, if you want to advertise, a fundraiser that's going on, you can dress up Pip. Just shout out to to Great Expectations.
And right now for Halloween, Pip is in his jack-o'-lantern costume with his green hula skirt.
Yes. All right, St. Augustine might be the nation's oldest city, but it's one of the wildest. Behind the cobblestone or brick-lined streets, whichever one you prefer, Spanish romance lies a past filled with pirates, prohibition, scandal, and secrets that could make even the Castillo blush. Today, we're sitting down with the brilliant storyteller who unearthed it all, Anne Colby, author of Wicked St. Augustine. Her book dives into the city's most deliciously dark tales, reminding us that history isn't just about dates and monuments, it's about drama, desire, and the people who broke the rules. Anne, welcome to Sunny TV. I'm super excited you're here.
I'm so excited.
I am very happy to be here.
This is one of the best books that I have read about St. Augustine. I can't wait to dive into this conversation. So I'd love for you to talk about Wicked St. Augustine.
Just talk about it?
Yeah. Well, where did you come up with some of these stories and vignettes?
Okay. It all started because there's two cities in this world that I love. And St. Augustine, obviously, is one of them. New Orleans is the other.
Awesome.
I make a point of visiting the city at least once a year. Now, New Orleans does not hide its history. You see every building labeled as to what years it was a brothel. Mm-hmm. And nobody hides anything. You can take the tours, you can read the books, everything. And I thought to myself, well, St. Augustine is 150 years older than New Orleans. Mm-hmm. Surely we had the same kind of vices going on in our city. Mm-hmm. So I went to the tour guides, I went to the historical society, and I just asked the simple question, where are the brothels?
True.
And the answer was, oh no, we never had any of that.
Oh, okay.
Never had any of that. We were a good Roman Catholic city.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And none of those vices, and I'm including the production of alcohol and gambling in that. And none of that ever happened here. So, right. Yeah, my answer was, I don't think so. So I decided to explore it. It turned out to be a 4-year adventure, climbing in and out of attics, going through dusty boxes, looking for records to put the pieces together, because there were no written accounts of our activities, our vice activities. Thank you, Henry Flagler.
He knew how to cover it up.
Well, he did. I mean, the point was he was developing St. Augustine as a family destination. Disney World before Walt Disney.
Okay.
And without the elaborate rides. But nevertheless, he who owned all the media at the time, advertised St. Augustine as the family destination of the South.
So did he basically take all the records and everything and destroy them, or
just make sure that there was no records
ever?
He suppressed everything.
Yeah.
Okay. He suppressed all of the information about the activities that people were really coming for to St. Augustine. To make it, and the families did come,
Right.
but of course Dad was not going to sit on the porch with his wife and kids and play backgammon for the entire winter. So Henry Flagler, knowing very well where the money was, kept all of those activities despite requiring the city council to make them all illegal. Mind you, none of this was illegal in St. Augustine.
Isn't that interesting, though?
That's crazy.
And the rest of the country, yes.
Yes, but not here.
Right.
Before 1881, there was no regulation.
Wow.
So everything
Taxing, yes, but no regulation.
So everything
it was not
just
against
went.
the law. it was not illegal till 1881 when Henry said, look, we really need to be a family city, and in order to do that, you need to do certain things like outlaw prostitution, drinking, production of alcohol, and gambling in all its many forms. So he literally suppressed everything, while at the same time, like 5 minutes after they passed the legislation, they decided never to enforce it.
Typical.
And Henry was good with that because, well, he needed that money.
Right.
That was a huge source of income. So we continued on with all of our activities, and no one ever got arrested.
Wow. And we all lived harmoniously back then, too. I think everything was kind of peaceful with everything going on, correct?
Pretty much. We have always been a rather nonviolent town. You know, despite the fact that everybody thinks the vice industries are associated with murder and stabbings and rape and all of the serious crimes. We were relatively crime-free back in the day. And I think a good portion of that had to do with the fact that the police department and the St. Johns County Sheriff's Department were deeply embedded in the vice industries, and so they policed it, and at the same time we still continued on with the activities.
So there's some famous landmarks in town that were actually brothels.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't the Lightner Museum? Am I saying that right?
Wait, which ones?
Well, probably the most prominent one is the Alcazar Hotel.
That's right, Alcazar Hotel.
City Hall.
Yeah.
City Hall.
Yeah.
You're looking at City Hall, you're looking at a brothel.
Wow.
Well, you see, what happened is when Henry opened the Alcazar in 1888, he had a lovely season at the Alcazar, but his guests complained mightily because they were having to walk 1/2 block to the nearest brothel.
Oh, good gracious.
In the rain, sleet, and snow.
Right.
And so, well, maybe not snow.
Well.
But hurricanes. You get my drift.
Yes, definitely.
Anyway, so they were having to go out into the weather to go to the nearest brothel, and this will not do. We want all of our entertainment. We want our casinos, we want our drinking, we want our gambling, we want all of those things under one roof. And so Henry said, okay, and built a 4th floor onto the Alcazar. And it became known as the bachelor's quarters. And that was where you could go to your bellboy, order the woman of your choice, give the bellboy the specifications, time, type, that sort of services to be rendered. And then the lady would be delivered to your room, and the transaction would be paid for, the bellboy getting a hefty commission out of it. And everything was right with the world.
So Henry Flagler obviously was the original Heidi Fleiss.
Basically, right?
Well, I wouldn't say he was the original one. Not here in St. Augustine. We have been, we've been doing this since 1560, September 8th, 1565.
Oh my goodness!
That's when the first prostitutes landed in not just Menendez and his brave colonists. They also brought a group of prostitutes with them. Which makes sense.
West King area. It's very significant, though, right? Because that's where the madams owned the land out there, right?
The land.
Madame owned the land.
Okay.
That was Blanche Travis Altavilla. She has become sort of a heroine of mine. The more I found out about her, the more I appreciated her abilities. She landed here from the train, was down at the train station in 1880. She was 20 years old. Within 2 years, she was buying up all of the land that was West Augustine.
The land.
Yes. And started building her brothels. And she eventually controlled, not to indicate that this is our largest red light district.
Okay.
Cross the San Sebastian River and you're in the St. Augustine Country Club.
Interesting.
Where you can get it. You can pretty much get any kind of entertainment except golf.
Okay, yeah, yeah, different kind of ball. I get you.
Exactly. Telling the wife you're going to the St. Augustine Country Club means you're doing everything but golf.
Wow.
Doing the things.
And she was such a young 20 years old, right? This is amazing for her to be this kind of entrepreneur.
She figured out. She said, "Guess what? I'm going to do something that."
And she's coming here in a time when women do not work.
True.
In general, they can't legally. Legally, women are very restricted in what occupations they can have.
Was she respected as a businesswoman?
Yes, she was.
They're probably scared of her.
The only reference I found to this woman who contributed so much money and so much to the enterprise of St. Augustine, the only reference I could find in the city records that specifically referred to her was as the businesswoman who was the manager of all of the property out in West Augustine.
Okay, so nobody said anything bad about it. They were probably scared.
And that, by the way, was in a city council, a commission. They commissioned a study in, I believe, 2006.
Okay.
About historic buildings in West Augustine. They did not mention any of them as being brothels.
Of course.
Of course.
Well, we have the one famous coffee shop, Maracuya, right now, and that was a big brothel.
Well, that was
or the second largest one.
That was actually Maracuya was one of the Creole cottages.
Okay.
Creole
Yes.
cottage.
If you spent the night, the Leo P. Chase Funeral Home, of course, was the largest brothel.
Yes, it's right next door to it.
Yeah, which is not to say we didn't have many. I mean, we had lots of brothels all throughout the city, downtown, any section of town I can stop at any point and point to a brothel.
Wow, this is so cool to learn.
I want her to take me on a tour.
Yeah, this is a tour I want to take.
Well, I actually do these tours, but the Maracuya is one of the Creole cottages where if you were going to spend the night at Blanche's main brothel complex, which was with the showpiece being the Leo P. Chase Funeral Home, that was sat in the center. It was surrounded by what they call the Creole cottages, and each one of them had usually 3 bedrooms with 3 exits to the outside. And if you stayed overnight, you'd be surprised at how many St. Augustine men told me about this. If you stayed overnight in one of the Creole cottages, you got a free breakfast.
Oh, wow.
Free breakfast.
Continental breakfast just has a new meaning, right?
Chicken and waffles.
Continental breakfast? I don't think so. We're talking eggs any way you want,
Wow.
ham and bacon, biscuits with
all the things,
fresh, absolutely everything.
Amazing.
The perfect breakfast, and so many St. Augustine men. Absolutely, they can't tell me about the girl, but they can tell me the breakfast to the detail.
Isn't that interesting?
I could probably tell you the breakfast in detail too. I love food.
So
I get it.
going back to Flagler Hotel, I do know that part of the hotel was for women and part of the other side of the hotel was for men. Is that true?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I imagine families could stay there. Well, actually, most of the families stayed at the Ponce de Leon because there was no entertainment there except for the bar underneath the dining room.
Okay.
Because that was all very staid and very, proper. Once you get over to the Alcazar Hotel, on the other hand, it was kind of party city. They had casinos, they had places where you can drink, which of course is illegal in St. Augustine, but we really don't care much about the law in St. Augustine when it comes to having a good time. And that was where mainly the men indulged because they were the ones who were entitled to use to all of the entertainments. I mean, women could not drink in St. Augustine. That was the one law that they did enforce. If you were a woman and you had a beer in St. Augustine in those days, and for quite a long time actually, it was a week in the county jail.
Oh,
if you were caught.
I'd be in the jail a lot then.
And
So when you were digging up all these things, this information, is there one thing that stood out in your mind that was like, I can't even believe this is true?
Well, yes. Well, actually, there's many of those.
I can imagine.
There are many of those, but the one and I have to say, in my other life, I was a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but
no, that's
I
great.
was a lawyer.
You speak the truth. That's perfect.
And this is the one that really just this is amazing and made me love the town even more. I mean, I'm reading the St. Augustine record, which is, it's an they write about they pick interesting topics.
They still do.
But they're very staid and they're very proper. But occasionally they come up with something that today boggles the mind.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But
similar.
yet it's on the front page,
Yeah.
of the record. And this was a story about that appeared in June of 1942. It took up the first section of the St. Augustine record for about 6 weeks, relegating, the other important thing during that time to the back page with the grocery ads. World War II.
Yeah.
Heard of it?
Yes.
Okay. We didn't care in St. Augustine.
No, typically,
Okay.
yeah.
But we this story is about the mayor, Walt Fraser, whose family still owns the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah.
We never go far from Vice in St. Augustine.
True, true. Yeah.
Even with the best of families.
Yeah, this is why I don't date anybody in town. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know. It might be kind of interesting. But, I was amazed to find out how many people didn't realize that their relatives were deeply involved.
Yeah.
Although
How do they perceive that this day and
Like
age?
when you tell them, when you're like, hey, so your family, let me tell you about those
Right,
people.
like when you spill the tea a little bit, are they receptive
Are
of
they
it?
like-
Or are they a little bit?
Well, the first speech I ever did was in front of the King's Daughters
Awesome, yeah.
at the Episcopal Church, and I'm just talking about what was going on in the brothels and who worked in the brothels and who assisted in the brothels and and I'm naming names.
Yeah.
And I see these ladies going like sheet white, and I thought, oh my God, it's mass poisoning, or something.
Sometimes the truth can poison people.
God bless.
And they're all going to faint and die right
Oh, my.
here. But they're all turning white, and I said, ladies, are you all right? Well, you're talking about our grandparents.
Oh,
You're talking about our relatives. And I said, and they didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know.
every family's got secrets, girl, let me tell you.
Well, see, the thing is, in St. Augustine, it's not so secret.
Yeah.
Well, it's secret in the sense that nobody now knew about it.
Right.
But back in the day, everybody knew about it.
Yeah.
It was accepted.
So that leads to
now
my...
I was still answering your question.
Go ahead.
You're about the mayor. The mayor. He fires the chief of police, Chief Lindsay. Okay. He fires him on the grounds that he is taking kickbacks from the brothels to the tune of $6 per girl per week, plus $100 per brothel on Christmas.
Okay. Wow.
And everybody knows that's a terribly immoral and illegal thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So he fires the police chief. Police chief says, "Nope, I want my job back," and sues the city. Sues the city. And they have a 6-week trial where everybody in town squeezes into the courthouse because who's testifying? City officials and the madams in town. They couldn't wait to hear what was happening. And the upshot of the trial was that the court gave him his job back. Full back benefits, full back pay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay? They also decided in their fact finding that he did in fact take the money from the brothels. Oh yes, he did in fact receive money from the brothels on a regular basis. But was it a kickback and immoral and illegal? No.
Protection.
No, not at all. Not in St. Augustine. It was merely, an administrative transfer of funds between city departments. Think of that. Think about that for a minute.
I have, yeah.
At that point, the city of St. Augustine declared, as a matter of law, that their brothels were a city department. They were so in league, they were so working in tandem with the health and safety department, the police department, and probably Parks and Rec. I mean, it was just all part of how the city functioned, and he didn't see why money going between these departments should be considered illegal.
Were the prostitutes taken care of very well, or was it?
Yes.
Okay, that's amazing, because you don't hear that often, right?
Blanche Altavilla established a lot of, since she ended up controlling almost all of the brothels in town. Mainly, I mean, she acted as the one-woman bank for St. Augustine. And if a madam needed to expand or improve her brothel, she borrowed the money from Blanche, and in exchange, Blanche got back the paper on the brothel.
Okay.
So ultimately, she ended up either owning or controlling almost every brothel in town. But that was a good thing, because she had a lot of ideas. First of all, we didn't have street prostitution. No crib girls, no, nothing.
Work in the corner.
No, none of that. You had to work in the brothel. For the girls, she provided full-time medical care.
Wow, awesome.
Full-time health care. She also provided health care for the clients.
Oh, yeah.
Of the girls, making sure there was a doctor on call.
Right.
At as long as each brothel was open. Usually provided by the city health department, to check the guests just to make sure that they weren't transferring any communicable diseases. She also made sure we had full-time security at our brothels. You don't hear, Storyville in New Orleans was shut down because of the violence.
Yeah.
Right.
And too many servicemen were getting seriously injured or killed. Not here. No, here we had full-time security at our brothels, provided by, of course, the city police department and the St. Johns County Sheriff's Department. So full-time security. She provided a pension system for the girls that worked in our brothels. Once you retired, you had a free place to live for the rest of your life.
What the heck, man?
This is cool.
Too bad she's still not alive. We
I
could send her up to
yeah,
DC.
please, honey.
Hey,
Figure it out.
She worked she was operating the brothels up until the day she died in 1953 at the age of 93.
She's my new favorite.
My mom was born in 1954.
Oh my gosh, this is incredible. So my last question.
Wait a minute. I haven't
go
finished
ahead.
all the
She's not done, David.
You're good. You're good.
She did. Let me throw in one other thing that she did for the town. She opened almost all of the brothels had restaurants attached. Well, you get hungry. I mean, it's a big profit center.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Food and alcohol in a brothel. Yay.
A lot of activity, yeah.
A lot of money. So at the end of every business period, day or night, they would send back the leftover food to the central kitchen that Blanche built in West Augustine. And anyone in St. Augustine could get a free meal at any time. No questions asked.
Wow.
Courtesy of the madams.
It's amazing.
So
And
she really started like the original Dining with Dignity.
Yeah, essentially, you're right.
Pretty much.
Dang,
And I had elderly society matrons tell me about this, that she did more for the poor people of St. Augustine than the Catholic Church did.
Wow, this girl is amazing.
So, I mean, she gave back to the community. She may have taken a bit, I mean, the whole point of a brothel is to empty you of your cash, empty your pocket. But on the other hand, she also gave back quite a bit to the community. Wow. Now, why do we have multiple statues of Henry Flagler all over town, the man who gave us segregation?
Where's her statue?
Yeah, I know, corrupt business practices
Yeah,
and
preach, girl.
really shady relationships with women.
Yeah.
Why do we have this man have statues all over everywhere and not a single statue?
Patriarchal society.
Or even a mention or a plaque
Yeah.
that mentions Blanche Altavilla and the many years, the 73 years that she contributed to the city.
Did she, when she passed, was she still in St. Augustine?
Yes. She's buried in Evergreen Cemetery.
Where was her house that she lived in?
She lived in the brothel at the Leo P. Chase Funeral Home. That's where she lived.
Awesome.
That was her home.
Now, did she still have family that lives in this area?
She had no family, none at all. She had no children. She was married briefly for 5 years to a young Italian. She got married at the age of 49 to a young Italian immigrant. He was 21. He just got here. And she was married to him for 5 years, and then they had an amicable divorce, and he turned around and immediately married one of the largest heiresses in town, Mamie Cooley. The Cooley family owned transportation at St. Augustine. Well, he married Mamie Cooley, and then he and Mamie moved into the brothel and worked there until, he died in 1950. Mamie survived Blanche and then went and lived in one of her retirement apartments.
How did the wickedness or all of this vice that you talk about, how did that subside and kind of move into modern day culture? Has it, or does it still exist today?
Of course it still exists. It's just kind of in a different form. I mean, the state has assumed a lot of the gambling.
Yeah, true.
I mean, tell me we don't have gambling. I mean, we've got lotteries, we've got a best bet down the street. I mean, we still have gambling. The cockfighting is not as obvious, but I'm quite sure that it still exists in St. Augustine in a very civilized form, if you can call that civilized. But it is the official sport of St. Augustine and has been for 200 years or more. Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, it all exists still, but in a much different form. I mean, times have changed. Yeah. Women have been allowed. Women can now have other occupations.
True. Yeah.
And be paid
and drink.
for them.
Yes.
And women can now drink. Yes. Women have
now. There's OnlyFans.
The freedom to control their own bodies, sort of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yep.
I mean, but we have a lot more freedom as to who we choose and what we can. We're not in contract marriages anymore for the most part. So men now say, well, I don't have to pay for it. Why should I? But do we still have brothels? Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Really?
Just not as many.
Yeah.
And not as public because there's no reason to be.
Right.
And this is an incredible conversation.
Oh my God.
This book is everything. I do want to plug the book and tell, where can people find it? Where can people read this extraordinary story?
Well, okay. First and foremost, I do tours.
Okay.
I work with Spyglass Tours, who were the only tour company in town willing to take a shot at it. They called me and said, we read your book and think it would make a great tour. I agreed. So I do tours of the downtown area, and then starting November 1st, I now have permission from the city to do a brothel tour.
Cool. Oh, we want to do this.
That's tomorrow.
Oh, that's so exciting.
November 1st.
Yes.
It's on. Yes, I will be doing them on Friday nights and Saturday mornings.
Excellent.
Including stops at brothels and the lovely stores that were formerly brothels, but now are lovely stores in St. Augustine.
And that again is Spyglass Tours.
Correct.
Awesome.
They are a local tour company, and were the only ones who wanted to take a shot at Wicked.
We're going to put that link in comments for everybody to experience
Yeah,
this.
it's they're a great company, and I was most pleased when they came to me and said, we'd like to take a shot at a Wicked.
I can't believe nobody's ever wanted to do a tour like this before. This is so fascinating.
Nobody
so
knew any
fascinating.
of this. Nobody literally knew anything until the book came out, and then they were all horrified for about 5 minutes, and then realized that, this is interesting stuff.
Do you find new information all the time?
Because everybody wants to come up and tell me what their grandfather was doing. Or their grandmother was doing during this time period. So yeah, I continually get new stories, which I usually incorporate into the tours.
So we have Sunnies all over the world, and we've got to be able to tell them where they can find this book, because I know they're going to be busting for it.
Barnes & Noble.
Great.
Amazon.
Awesome.
Of course, pretty much any bookstore in town. The Flagler College Bookstore, because it's now a required text.
Oh, I love that. Congratulations. That's amazing.
What's in the Florida? It's Florida history.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
and it's important Florida history. The thing is, nothing in this book is not fact.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fact. What am I saying? This is all fact.
Yes.
There is no. I was thinking myths, legends. No, this is factual. I found. I mean, every single detail had to be verified by at least 2 sources.
Amazing.
Oh my God,
amazing.
You are so amazing.
Story. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
know there's so much more to uncover, but that's why, Sunnies, you have to go out and do this tour, because it is going to be something so spectacular. And thank you so much for your time today.
Well, can I say one
Please
thing?
do.
One thing
Please
about
do.
the tour.
Yes.
I know they always advertise the tours as being like an hour and a half long, because I think that's standard in St. Augustine for tours. Well, it's not.
Okay, good.
I have gone as long as 5 hours.
That's fabulous.
Wow.
That is something super special. Yeah.
Well, if you want to know about it, I'm an ex-lawyer. I'm more than happy to talk about it.
Amazing chat with
so much.
Ann Colby today. Wicked St. Augustine. Sunnies, this was super special. We're going to say a quick word to our friends over at Maritime Creative and Flashes and Brilliance.